Dream started, and I've had dreams for 4 solid days, and you know where it all consisted of?
What?
The trailer in Georgetown.
You're kidding.
Every night it was starting there.
What was it like? What are you dreaming about?
Just wild shit, just off the wall. It just all through, went through like 6 different people that I know.
Mm.
It just bounced around in weird, wild situations. Just like, I don't know, it was fun.
I had a dream that all of us were in. Did I tell you about it?
No.
I dreamt that we went camping. We found this really cool camping spot. We kept wanting to camp there. It was on someone's property, and we kept going back to the property and going farther and farther out into the woods. And finally decided to camp. It's a really cool, beautiful outdoor thing. And then we wake up the next morning, and there's frost everywhere, and all of the trees and all the ground and around the tent and everything is overhung with snakes. There's snakes everywhere. Like big boas and cobras and pythons and shit everywhere. And we were trying to like either cut their heads off or run them off or leave before they woke up because it was still early morning. It was weird. Like that's some psychological shit.
Snake fear, yeah.
No. The snakes inside of us, man. He's in that tree right now. Are you kidding me? Bitch ass cat.
So what kind of shit was popping off in the dreams, man?
Nothing weird,
Just some of the same shit that you used to tell us about.
nothing. Just fucking weird shit. I took LSD before I fucking went to bed. Wild ass shit.
Wait, you did take LSD, or it's like you took LSD?
Like. Weird.
So the thing at your apartment, man, is it like something that you're worried about? No?
Yeah.
Is it comforting? No? Just kind of there?
You're just there. It's like I can usually sense that type of shit, and it's just I'm not shook or anything over it.
If it were like somebody else, though, like, because I know you said that you're not shook, but if it were like somebody else, would it be something that you would say, yo, you need to worry about this?
You mean like something demonic? Yeah.
I didn't want to put the word on it, Mike, but yeah.
Don't be a bitch about it. And I noticed the cat will not go in my room. He'll look back there, and he'll just stare and fucking start getting. He won't go in there.
I don't like that.
He will not go in there. Take him in there. He'll sit on the bed for a minute. He'll look around. Then I'll just, time to go. I go. I'll do this shit.
So is most of the shit that you've been experiencing actually been concentrated in your bedroom? Or is it actually all throughout?
Used to be just the bedroom, but now
It's
it's...
starting to spread out.
Yep. Went to the bathroom, then it went to the living room where it fucked around with all my lights and the reptile tanks.
I remember you telling me about the the heat lamp. Was it the red light exploding?
Basking light.
Basket light.
It was unscrewed.
Unscrewed. Which one
2
exploded?
of them. None of them exploded, but one was crushed. Like somebody grabbed the ball and squeezed it.
Right.
There was no glass anywhere.
Hmm. Did you find glass anywhere else in place?
Nope.
Well, that's creepy.
2 of the basking lamps were unscrewed halfway.
What about Karina? Has she seen anything, experienced anything from it, or?
Yeah, a few weeks ago, she had an incident. I was at work, or I left for work, which that's at 4 o'clock in the morning. I got to work about 5, or 5:30 was when I got to work. And she texted me, and she said she woke up to something sitting on the bed, and she felt down
I
there.
got goosebumps just now, man. That's
Yeah.
fucking weird.
She thought I had like called off, and so she said she called my name, and as she reached out to touch me, as she was reaching out, she said she felt something get up off the bed. She thought it was me, so she turned her cell phone on because I wasn't answering. There was nobody there, and she's not into that shit. She never has been. She's not really a believer, but she kind of is. She's one of those weird people that's like, that basically.
I don't want to say yes, but
Yeah.
So not like super superstitious, but
They're just ignoring.
skeptical.
They're ignoring the truth. It's
Skeptical.
Ignoring the truth.
Yeah.
Damn right.
So the shit that you're feeling at your apartment right now, is it anything like that what you felt at the trailer park and the trailer? Like, which one's worse? What one feels? Because I know that you just said the one at the apartment, you ain't shook, but is it similar in any way to the one? No, not at all.
That's basically asking somebody to stand in a field that's on fire and somebody to stand in a field that has AC.
That's fair.
Which one's gonna feel better?
I prefer the AC myself, if I'm being honest.
There you go. That apartment's AC compared to that fucking
Man, I
house.
miss being out in the field. We need to go to a field sometime.
That's why I've been really nervous because of those dreams with the trailer. Like, not very fond of that.
Yeah.
My buddy at work, he thinks something's following me because we was standing there talking Thursday, and I was facing towards him, obviously, and he turned over and looked down because he thought one of our other buddies there was sneaking up behind him and brushed up against him. There was nothing there. And you could see the goosebumps on his arms, like, just, his hairs were standing up. He said he's never experienced anything like that. He said that's the first time ever. Just all this shit popping off. I don't know.
So with the dreams coming back, are you worried that something might be reappearing from your time?
In a sense. I don't know. Could just be just dreams. I don't know. Because of all the shit that's been happening and just been thinking about it all. Could just be that. I would hope.
I know a lot of the time when I have a dream, like a nightmare or something like that I'm really worried about, it's something I've been worrying about during the day. Have you been worrying, like, have you been thinking about, like, the trailer park a lot before you were having the dreams, or are they just kind of randomly popping up?
Just started out of the blue. I don't know.
Oh, we don't have to talk about that anymore then. Where do you fellers want to go? What
Down to go anywhere.
spooky things do you guys want to see tonight?
Where you guys want to go? What do you think?
Straight to hell.
We're going to the woods, boys.
Oh, Jesus. No. Mostly because it's been raining for 2 days. And you know that place is a fucking swamp.
Get stuck knee deep, and then you hear the fucking trees rustling. Oh, God.
Let's get the fat one.
Which one's the fat
Oh,
one?
we all gotta get out of here.
Oh. Have you been having any nightmares about the woods? Or is it just the trailer park?
Just the trailer.
Do you think it's in kind of like a correlation between it? No? I mean, like, so what I mean by that is, because we've all had some shit happen in the woods, obviously. Shit that's happened to each one of us. But I know that, I think it's you and Ed are the only ones who've had, so, like, because you guys lived in that trailer park. And you guys were the only ones who actually, like, saw shit inside of your domicile. Like, inside of your house. Because I remember you telling me about that thing that was moving between the slats. The black thing with red eyes was moving between the slats. And I know Ed said he saw something outside of his window that had, like, red eyes. But do you think that's something that may have been out in the woods, or do you think it's like a correlation between the two? Because like it's very odd for things to happen out in those woods and then to turn around and then something being an approximation about 100 feet away from those woods to happen inside of your house.
Way further than 100 feet. I was like football field.
Well, no, what I'm saying is the start of the woods, I mean. Like, the start of the woods is just like 100 feet away from those trailers. Like, the back of the trailer park.
That wasn't the bad part of the woods. Behind
Well, I know that. Yeah, I know that. But, I mean, when was it? It was like, I think it was like 2 years ago where it was like me, you, Raleigh, maybe even Alex and Charles, where we walked out in those woods. The first thing we found on the edge of the woods was a dog corpse. It still had its collar around its neck. You remember that shit?
I remember some kind of...
Do you remember that?
It was a dog's skeleton with its hair still around it.
Yeah, I remember the skeleton. I don't remember exactly what it was.
But it still had, like, its collar around its neck. And it was small. It was like a small dog. So it could have been... Yeah, of course it could have been something like a Yorkie or something like that. But it also could have been a baby dog that somehow found its way out into those woods and then died of something. I don't know. But I remember Shelley telling me that those woods and that whole area in Georgetown, like that, the old high school, that old house that got demolished right across from the old high school, you know, the woods. She used to tell me shit that older people would say about that stuff. And I know that the Lang part of your family definitely has something attached to it, because I remember Angie telling me about some shit out in those woods, and at that house that they lived in Walsburg, and I never really talked to Eric. I don't give a fuck about that guy. But I remember Tracy telling me some heavy shit that happened at that house out in those woods when he was older and like Junior had moved out there. So that's what's weird about it is this isn't like just like some generation thing where like we go out in these woods and we see some spooky shit. This seems to go back further. And it's eerie. It creeps me the fuck out seeing somebody who's been to prison talking about they're scared of a rock that they found out in the woods. You know? And Tracy's not like a super religious, superstitious guy. He's not. I know that I've seen two things personally. I've experienced the tall ones, the geeks, what we call the geeks, and I've experienced that thing that you and I saw, the big shroud.
White shroud.
I haven't seen what Crispy saw. The deer without ears that kind of looked like a deer skull.
That was.
I haven't seen the H word. I haven't. You know, I think you're the only one who has. But, and the weirdest thing is, man, that when we were talking about the tall ones,
I think y'all are getting the geeks confused with skinwalkers.
so you think it's like skinwalkers out there?
Well, I know because just a few years ago when me and him was living in that old shitty apartment down the road, you remember the lights that was popping up in the field?
Are you talking about the field in Georgetown or the field?
At the trailer park, the
Yeah.
field in between the trailers and the woods.
Right.
How, remember how we all used to play paintball?
Mhm.
Like me, Corey, Ed, and then a bunch of the neighbors.
Mhm.
When we were standing over at Mike Barry's house, his trailer was right next to Ed's house.
Right.
And his was up against the field line and then the woods, and that's where we was all standing. And then a light came up, looked like a flashlight, came up, went down. Caught all of our attention. There was 9 of us out there, nine or 12, I can't remember. There's a good bit of us.
I think Cody, you, Corey, Ed. I don't know if Austin ever went out there. I think Austin might have been too young.
Yeah.
My brother, I remember him being out there with you guys.
Yeah.
So I didn't play paintball out there with you guys.
Yeah.
I did it at the other end of the woods, you know, where right where the Church of the Nazarene is.
Yeah.
Which has, and I just got goosebumps talking about that fucking place because those woods had some creepy shit in them too.
Yeah, all of that.
It's all connected. That whole area is connected.
All that's owned by one guy.
And it's all the place, it's all the area where the shit pops off.
Yeah.
But anyway, go on. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but we were standing there, and the first light went off. We all look over, like, who's out there? You know, we're like, who the fuck is out there right now? Who's fucking around with us? And then another one came up about 150 feet away, and there ain't no in hell somebody traveled 150 feet within 2 or 3 seconds. No way.
Right.
And then another one went off over here, and then over there right at the wood line. And so we fired a few paintballs out there because Barry thought that it might have been this guy that he was in a feud with that lived up in that subdivision through the woods on that back road, that little subdivision back there.
Right.
He thought maybe it was them because that guy had come over and slashed all the tires on his Fox body like the week before.
What the fuck?
And so he thought it was him. So we started firing paintballs all out in the field.
Right.
And then the lights came back up almost in the same exact spots it looked like. It just come up just like that. Perfect motion. At that speed. And so we all started running out in the field, and we split up into groups of 2s and 3s, and me and him went out together, and we went off towards the smallest part of the woods where it breaks up into the other field, and then
Right.
we get over to where me and Alex built that shack.
Right. So you're talking about there's that big chunk of field right near the hospital. There's that line of woods. Then there's that kind of slatted area where there's like woods, barren area, woods, barren area where like the tractors and stuff travel through, right? You're talking about near that area where you guys had built like that big old treehouse and shit, right? Or not treehouse, but like the fort.
Yeah, the fort was down the other end of that field from that hospital.
Right.
Hospital, and then the dirt road where all the tractors and combines go in.
Next to the field. Right.
Yeah, and that's all one solid field.
Right.
Like, it doesn't break up or anything. But we was in that section of woods right there where it loops around through the back of those trailers. That's all up right there, you know, it's like 10 feet away from their window.
Right.
But we was going right through there where you come out in that circle part of the field,
Mm-hmm.
and then you walk up through there and then turn left to go to that shack. We was walking up through there in one of the paths, and one of those lights, like they had stopped. All of them. Nobody was seeing anything as far as we could hear because everybody was silent. And one of those lights came up directly in the middle of us, and we was in grass about 3-4 foot high. And it came up right in the middle of us. He was in front, I was in back, and we was crouched down, and we was waiting to hear, we was listening. And it came up, and so we fell over on our sides. We started shooting over in it. There was nobody there, but never knew what it was, nothing. And then, I would say 4 years ago now, 3 years ago, I was doing that research at the apartment on skinwalkers.
Right.
And then I ran across this big old long thread, and it said, it was talking about people seeing flashlights out in the woods. Oh God, fucking goosebumps. My hair's about to crawl out of my head right now. People were seeing these flashlights. Like, what? We didn't know what it was until they started doing their own research, and they found out. They came across whatever the fuck it was, and it's skinwalkers, and they do that to lure you out into the woods so they can get you. And that really, like, I got massive goosebumps all over my body right now. It fucks me up. But, I mean, it's been what? Since that day, been 14 years now to find out that's what it was.
Right. See, I've never seen lights flashing.
Yeah, they don't flash.
Or not. I'm sorry, not like flashing, but like raising and then lowering. I've never seen lights like that.
That was the only time I had ever seen it.
So,
that night.
just to kind of let you know what I've seen out there, again, I've seen two things. One, tall things. Two, that thing that we saw. Don't know what the fuck that was. I remember it was probably about 2010, 2011. I used to run around with the Norrises because their dad was the pastor at the Nazarene Church. And we would go out into those woods and we'd hang out and we'd play paintball in the front part rather than in the side part near the trailers and things like that.
Did you ever go to that abandoned house out there?
We did. So that's exactly what I was about to bring up. So that abandoned house, man, I was standing on the back porch, and Charles, by God, if all my hairs aren't standing up on my fucking arm right now, I don't know what to tell you. I was standing on the back porch of that house, and I saw probably about 200 meters out, if I had to guess, about 200 meters out, there was a tall, and this was fucking broad daylight, bro. This wasn't like deep dark night where I've seen the other things, man. Broad daylight, I saw something move in between the trees on that back porch, man. And it was, if I had to guess, probably about 9 foot tall, slender, and gray. And it, like, those trees, man, are this big around. You know, they're like the size of like maybe 3 soda cans if you put them all together. And this thing was disappearing in between. It wasn't like, you know, this thing would walk behind like, you know, you or I would like do behind a tree and like you would see us coming out the other end. It would go in and then pop out maybe 20 feet away. Like that.
That's exactly how it was when me and Alex out there building that shack. There'd be shit out there 9 foot tall, 7 to 9 foot tall. They'd be black. Some of them be massive. The other ones would be slender. And you know that shack was in those dense woods.
Yeah.
Where the trees were only 1 to 3 inches thick. And you could see it clear as day, and it would move, and what it go behind. And it's gone. And then it would just appear again. I know.
And I remember, like, I couldn't move. Like, I saw that thing and this is like, normally I'm the kind of guy, I'd be wholly honest when I say my fight or flight when that kind of shit happens. It's usually flight. I'm usually going to try and run my ass out of there. I'm not going to stay and try and fight something that I can't see. I froze and just looked at it, and it was. You guys saw Jaws, right? You remember Jaws, the movie? You remember when like everybody's on the beach and they start blaring that siren and there's like, there's a shark in the water, and the camera kind of zooms in on him and it zooms out at the same time? I could feel that. Like, it felt like everything that I knew in my brain just kind of closed in on me, and like my vision focused in. It was the most scared I've ever been in my life. And then, shit, not 2 years later, we go out into the woods, and it's Alex, Ethan, I think it may have been Crispy. I can't remember who exactly was with us at that time. But I remember walking through, and Spencer. Spencer was there. And we were walking through those woods, and Spencer looked at me, and he's like, bro, I feel sick to my stomach. Like, it was like when we crossed the line from the field into the dark part of the woods. I felt like Spencer, and I felt it as soon as he said it. I felt it. He's like, I feel like something's squeezing my stomach, and I was like, I feel it too, man. I don't think we should be here right now. And as we were walking out, it gets so quiet back there. It gets so quiet. You can hear the birds rustle, but when the birds stop moving, I can see by the look on your face, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
When the birds stop moving.
Because the reason why I just got goosebumps is because I was thinking about those birds in my head, listening to thousands of them setting in those branches, and you'd be sitting there still, and then just all of a sudden they'd whip up in the sound, and they would just go in a circle motion and then land again.
And then it just gets quiet.
Dead. So
And then it's so quiet back there. I remember as we were leaving, it just got quiet.
Just too quiet to be nature. It's too quiet.
It's never quiet in nature,
it's like
bro.
Everything's dead. Like, that place is just something else. I've always tried to make sense of a lot of the shit in that woods, but it's hard. I've done weeks worth of research trying to figure out what the tall things could be, what any of it could be, and why is it all one area? Because usually, each thing is in its own area, and why is all these different types of
whatever they are
all together? I don't know.
So one thing that really, really freaks me out, and I sent this to Charles a little while back. There are stories of, like, in Germany and like the Black Forest and shit like that, of people seeing exactly what we've seen.
Yeah.
Not the H word, but like the geeks, the tall ones, whatever. And as we know, southern Ohio is hugely populated by a German population. I mean, over the Rhine in Cincinnati, my family is pretty heftily German. What's not Scotch is German.
My old lady, she's German. Her mom's mom came over from Germany along with her dad's dad, so she's like fucking
Legit, yeah.
She's legit as fuck.
So, and that's the weird thing, man, is you hear these stories about the Germans experiencing these things in the woods that are tall and slender and gray, and then you hear the stories that we've told and the people in the prior generations who have lived in Georgetown have told about things in the woods that are tall and slender and gray, and then it kind of like clicks together that, hey, do you think maybe whoever settled in this area, when they settled in this area, may have brought something with them, maybe like a token, or even like a family curse, like as shitty and as cliched that sounds, like a family curse that may have brought something over. You know, it just, I don't know. Of course, we live in the Midwest. There was, you know, a lot of Native Americans around here. Skinwalkers can't be totally out of the picture. You know what I mean? It's not something that I can't say no to, but it just seems weird to me that there are these stories of Germany and these big, whatever they are, in the woods in the Black Forest and things like that. And then we have the exact same thing in the area where, you know, a lot of Germans settled when they came across the sea. Along with that, I know that in West Virginia and in northern Kentucky and in northeast Kentucky, there are a lot of stories about fae folk, you know, and that's just weird to me because the Irish who have settled, you know, West Virginians have a big Irish lineage. You know, a lot of people in West Virginia have an Irish lineage, and there are hundreds of stories about, you know, the Fae of Ireland being in the woods of West Virginia and the hills of the Appalachians and shit like that. Yeah. You know, we're on the outer end of that, you know, but what I'm thinking, I think it's older than Skinwalkers, man. I think it's something much, much older than Skinwalkers, or, you know, I don't know. And not to mention the shit that came from, you know, well, the Native American stories about the giants, man. We've all heard about the stories about the giants. I had this guy contact me after I put up that first post, you know, talking about the shit that we've experienced and the things that you've told me about the woods and, you know, the shit that we've all seen. I had some dude contact me online and say, yo, your area, you know, he's like, I've done a lot of research on this because, you know, I was studying geology at, I think he made it said Miami University or something like that. I can't remember exactly where he was talking about where he studied. But a lot of the area that he studied in was southern Ohio. In our area, Adams County, Brown County, you know, Claremont, Hamilton, all these counties in southern Ohio, you know, the valleys, where he said that there were, I mean, again, I don't know, I've looked into it. I haven't done extensive research, but I've looked into it, where people are saying, we found giant bones under these mounds, you know, not, you know, normal Native American bones that, you know, would have been under a mound in ritual, but like men 8 to 9 feet tall. In mounds. 8 to 9 feet tall.
There's mounds all over East Fork. I know where a dozen are right offhand. I can take them to you right now. In the dark with no headlamp. There's mounds all over East Fork.
The mound builder native culture is one of the most mysterious to me. I don't know why. You don't hear about them because it's not as romanticized as Western Plains natives.
Well,
but
think about that. What and I know that you've talked. You and I have talked about this extensively. I remember us talking about this, you know, for a good 3 or 4 days. What was it? The Nephilims or the Nephilims or whatever they're called?
Oh yeah, Nephilim.
The only thing that I could think of why Native Americans would bury, you know, and of course, you know, I'm not Native American. I can't say this is all speculation, you know. If I could, you know, talk to somebody who is of Native American lineage, like legit Native American lineage, and I'd be, you know, tell me all about it, man. Tell me about the, you know, why the Native Americans built the mounds. Tell me about this shit. I'd ask them, but if you're burying your holy warriors to put them closer to the underworld, wouldn't you want them to be buried higher than the normal people?
I can't remember. I read it somewhere. I was up at in where the fuck was it? I can't remember. I don't know, some museum thing, and they was talking about as to why they did that. I can't remember exactly why. I don't know. I can't remember. That's pretty easy to find out, that type of information. I don't know. It's just weird. And why is there? I want to know what's in those mounds all over East Fort. Because I mean, that was. I mean, yeah, Indians was all over that land back in the day, and then it turned into all farmland.
Right.
But
Yeah, the weirdest thing about East Fort too is, man, that used to be a city. Like,
Yeah.
not like a city, a town.
yeah,
It's farmland.
But like a town, like a legitimate town.
yeah, like
You
the
s-
size, like half the size of Georgetown,
Yeah.
bottom of that lake, tiny. It's old, like an old western town. It was kind of like. I remember Corey's grandpa. He was telling us about when he was a kid. He would ride his bike down the hill to that town. That's what he was saying. Either him or his great grandpa, or his grandpa. I mean, maybe that's what it was. It was Corey's grandpa. Grandpa was telling me about that. I don't know. It was weird. That Faye though. I don't know if you ever been to Moonville. I don't even know the story behind Moonville.
Is that the tunnel and the ironworks or whatever it was? The furnaces?
I'm not too sure about that.
I know
It's
of Moonville. I've never been to
the
it.
tunnel. I went up there. Me and my family went camping at the campgrounds close to it. I can't remember the name of the campground.
There's no gun emoji.
But Moonville, to get to that tunnel, you have to take. And I did a lot of research on it. And there was talk of the Fae being up in the woods. And the whole time we was walking down that trail, it felt like something was just watching you, like, and following you. Like, you could hear shit up in the woods, cracking and breaking. You'd stop and look, nothing. And you just have goosebumps riding on the back of your neck the entire time. Like, you knew something was watching you. That tunnel, it's pretty creepy. Because we went there, and my mom and aunt took a lot of pictures inside that tunnel, and they got mad shit in pictures. Mad shit.
I've heard about it. I've never been there.
Yeah. I
Should
did,
be somewhere on that map, actually.
yeah, it'd be up at the top right. But
Helltown.
I did see the one. There's a guy that you can see at the other end of the tunnel. It's a black shadow. He was it was his job to sit there and inspect the rails, and with trains going by and shit like that. He got hit out there, got plastered all over that motherfucker. And so that's like his resting spot. You can always see him down at the end of the tunnel because another group of people ended up coming up on us. It was just two people, just a couple. And I was looking up at the wall, and the chick, she was like, are they part of your group too? We looked down at the other end of the tunnel, and the tunnel is, I think it's like 100 yards in total. And like, I turn around and look, I'm like, no, everybody's here. I'm like, they with you? She's like, no. And it was just black figure walked out and walked back off to the side, and then you can look it up on Google. That's one of the things that you see. But the Moonville town, that just up and disappeared. All the people in it, they just vanished. And I was reading up on some ghosty stuff the other day and came across. I was watching Skinwalker Ranch. It's on Hulu.
You know what, man? It's weird. I actually read that whole report about Skinwalker Ranch. How like the dude, like supposedly aliens and
Yes.
fucking all that shit.
I had to listen to that on YouTube. It was a doozy.
I was watching it, and they was talking about these towns of people that would just vanish. And then I was like, Jesus Christ, that's what happened in fucking Boonville. Just all these people just vanished. Like, what the fuck is going on? But I don't know, though. Those woods up in there, talk about that fae and shit. Like, that shit's fucking crazy. It's definitely an unsettling feeling walking through there.
I've had. So in going through Eastwood, man, even there, man, I've had some
Oh yeah,
creepy shit.
absolutely unsettling. Especially when you go camping there at night, like my dumbass, by yourself. Yeah. You get all kinds of shit popping off there.
It's very eerie. I don't even know what to make of it.